Happy Saturday, everybody. Welcome to today's installment of Home Solutions. We are live and direct here from the Mix 1041 studios in beautiful Cleveland, Tennessee. And as a reminder, Home Solutions is your only local home and garden show. We are sponsored by Pro 93 Home Solutions, which we'll talk about a little more today. But Dennis Purvis with you here as always. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Saturday. Got a little taste of spring this week in the weather. And hopefully that'll continue on and winter's over with because I'm over it. But today I'm joined in-house with my business partner and good friend, Jesse Matthews, also owner of Pro 93. Man, thanks for being here today.
Yeah, always good to be here. Yep.
And it's not Jesse's favorite thing to be on the radio.
I'm getting used to it.
But you are getting used to it. You're getting great.
A little more comfortable, I guess.
Yeah. And but today, we want to talk about... as you guys are getting out there, getting ready for maybe some spring projects, getting ready for things that are going to do this summer maybe, how do you pick a contractor? And if you do, what do you ask them? And then once you've found someone that you feel like the price is right, they've satisfied kind of your due diligence, what do you got to do before you start work? There's some things that are great prep, things we try to do that are best practices that kind of we found. And, these are questions that no contractor should hide from. At Pro 93, obviously we sponsor the show here, but also, we try to be we try to be the nicest contractor in town. And as far as we go, we know we're not the most expensive in town. We know we're not the cheapest, but we try to give you great value, work with your budget. But more than anything, we want to be the contractor that picks up the phone, that when you call us, we're there. When you text us, we're there. When you email us, we respond. And communication is a huge part of it, and making sure you've got some things set up front it makes all the difference. And Jesse, I know we talk about it all the time in the office and with our crews and with our subs. Setting the right expectations up front can make a job ultimately better all the way through the process.
It makes it flow better. Once expectations are given, expectations are understood. Homeowners understand what they are wanting, what they get, and it just makes the process go so much smoother.
Yeah, and so if you're starting out and you're trying to figure out, maybe you're calling around to get some estimates, and first off, one of the biggest red flags for me before I was a contractor is when you call someone who says that they charge you for an estimate.
Yeah.
Most folks worth their salt. Look, without estimates, we don't have work.
Right.
And yeah, our time is worth something, but again, we're confident in what we do. We provide free estimates. So if someone's telling you it's a charge that then if you take them, they'll take it off your bill or they'll credit your account. Listen, folks, there's plenty of great reputable contractors in this town. We're one of them. We're biased, obviously. We think we're pretty good, but we've got a lot of friends that work in this town as well. Some have been on this show, and I can tell you. The first thing is if you're calling around to get an estimate and someone's trying to charge you, hang up and call the next person.
Right. There's a red flag that needs to go up on that.
Yeah. You can give us a call at 458-4135 or just check us out at pro93homesolutions.com. Go to the Contact Us page. That comes directly to Jesse and I. We'll give you a call, get you on our estimator Chris's schedule. It doesn't cost you a thing for us to come out and give you an estimate, and it shouldn't cost you a thing. I think is the big thing. So you've got your estimates. You're trying to decide on who you want to work with. I mean, obviously the first question and it's something that we run into a lot, is do they have a contractor's license through the state of Tennessee, and are they insured? We have a term, we call them chucks in a truck.
Truck in a truck.
Chuck in a truck. They got a work truck and they got a magnet on the side.
Tom and a Tundra.
Yeah, Tom and a Tundra. I like that one. I hadn't heard that one. I like that. But the issue is that was good. Did you just make that?
I just kind of made that up.
Jesse's trying to get some copyright going. The issue, folks, is in the state of Tennessee, in Bradley County, Hamilton County, you should have at least an home improvement contractor's license. Those are for jobs for $25,000 or less. Anything more than that, and you need a general contractor's license. It is actually illegal for someone to enter into a contract with you without that license. Pro 93, we're not only licensed through the state up to $500,000, but we are also fully insured with general liability. We've got our workman's comp and workman's comp exemptions for our crew. So if you ask for that, no contractor should have a problem providing it.
Mm-hmm. There's a risk that you guys go into as customers where you're bringing contractors on a job site into your home.
Yeah.
And if there's an injury or there's something that happens,
or they mess up your home,
or they mess up your home, and that you want it fixed. Having a license and having insurance as the contractor is an incredible security for you to go with a licensed contractor.
And yes, we're going to be more expensive than the Chucks in a truck or the Toms in a Tundra.
Toms in a Tundra.
However, they're not paying our overhead because I can tell you, folks, that insurance, I love our insurance agent. Old Jim does a great job for us. But I will tell you this, it isn't cheap because we're contractors.
Yeah.
And the risk involved in what we do a lot of roofing, we do a lot of excavation, we do a lot of high work.
Working on ladders, working on scaffolding,
Yep,
working off of boom lifts.
Yeah, we've got folks that we have folks that do tree work. Mm-hmm. So understand that we carry that risk, and it protects us, but more importantly, it protects you as the customer. So again, no contractor should be afraid of asking you. Of providing that to you. Providing that to you.
Paperwork, yeah.
So remember that as you go forward. So you've talked about that. You've asked them that. The next thing is ask them about their background, their experience. If you're hiring somebody that's to do a kitchen remodel that's never done a kitchen remodel, that's used to moving dirt, or maybe they're just roofers, do you want your house to be the guinea pig? I mean, that's the true story. Like it's as easy as simple as that. And that goes right into the next thing is ask for some references.
Yeah, references are huge. Pictures are huge. Asking for references with phone numbers to call previous customers. If a contractor's good, they want to provide you. We want to provide you names and phone numbers of customers that you can call to get verification, to get understanding of how well the job performed, how well the job flowed. There's just any good contractor that's worth a grain of salt will offer you that information.
Yeah, and the other part of that, and now in the social media age, you don't even have to ask a lot of questions. You know, we've got some before and after stuff on our page. We need to actually have more loaded on there, actually. Mm-hmm. But also go to the reviews. Look at Google. Look at Facebook. Look at the different sites. Look at those reviews. Now, you know, if they've got a 2-star review out of 5, and that's their average, you probably need to ask some questions.
Yeah.
But you know, if they're between 4 and 5 stars, you know, I can tell you this: as much as we've tried to make people happy.
Yeah.
And you can't make everybody happy, and there's always something. And
there might be worth a show on actually talking about reviews of businesses.
Yeah.
That might be a good topic one day. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get good, you're going to get bad, you're going to get indifferent.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other matter.
But as the customer, that's a great place for you to go as a resource.
Got to stop.
You've talked about referrals. We've talked about references. Ask for pictures. If you're doing a specific type, ask for pictures of jobs they've done with that. I was just talking to actually some friends that, a couple weeks ago, actually this past week, a restaurant here in town, and they are asking, hey, we want to put this roof over our porch. We don't think there's enough room. And I said, well, you know, there's some roof risers you can get to go up above to actually get the slope you need. And I said, and really, we don't have to get a big slope, because as long as we can get something like a 1-2, we can get metal on it, mm-hmm. and be a little cheaper, job for you. And I was able to go to my phone and show where we had done a couple of those.
Mr.
Right,
Chandler,
yeah, Chandler and Miss Hodgson right here in town.
Yep.
And we were able to show them those pictures of those risers where we did just that. So there's lots of guys. It's my kids tell me all the time, if there's not pics or video, it didn't happen.
It didn't happen, yeah.
That's really the truth. And when you're picking a contractor, that's something you need to think about as well.
And I think time in business does not really correlate to the experience of what that project is.
Absolutely. If somebody says I've got 40 years experience, but they've been on a bulldozer for 40 years.
Yeah, but they don't have experience in a kitchen remodel,
yeah.
and that's what you're hiring for. Time in business does not correlate.
Yeah.
You know, so consider that too.
And the other thing too is that, you know, listen, we've kind of made our mark here in the marketplace locally as remodelers, and that was an intentional thing for us, because when we started the company 4 years ago, everybody was building houses. The market was hot. It was getting hotter. It stayed hot. It's still hot. And and we do custom builds. We're in the middle of some right now. However, there weren't a lot of contractors at the time that wanted to do remodeling. And that's kind of where we differentiated ourselves. It's where we've got great crews, kitchens, bathrooms, additions, that's finished basements, finished attic space. That's our bread and butter. That's our wheelhouse. And we've been able to, as we've grow into some other things with, doing custom homes and detached garages. But the reality is that, we're comfortable with what we do, and we like those jobs. I don't like being at your house for 6 months.
Right.
I'd much rather be out in 3 weeks and 4 weeks and take care of it. So you've asked these questions, you're vetting them. Another key question to talk about is permits. We are fortunate in this area that most of the municipalities here will allow the owner to pull permits. Some owners want to pull those permits, so they're in control of the process. You need to have that discussion with your contractor. If a contractor tells you that they don't or can't pull permits, folks, there's something wrong.
There's a red flag.
That is an absolute red flag. That means that either they're not licensed or they're not insured to be able to meet City of Cleveland, Bradley County, Hamilton County, whatever it is. They can't meet those standards to be able to pull that permit. So understand that that's a discussion you need to have. Really, as far as if they can pull the permit, it's really up to you. It's where that cost is going to lie. I know that typically we allow owners to pull their permits. They pay for them. If we put it in our contracts, if they want us to do it, then we pass those fees on. They're not marked up. It's public record. They can go down to the city because they're still on it as the owner.
Right.
You should be able to see what your permit costs. And then the next question, scheduling. I think that's once we get somebody who calls and says, hey, I'm ready to move forward, Jesse's favorite line in the world is talk to Dennis for scheduling.
Oh, you figured it out in 4
I
years?
figured that out in 4 years.
Yeah, I don't deal with scheduling.
Jesse's does great with the he schedules estimates. He'll get you out there and get you estimated and get you an estimate.
But I think that sets contractors apart, though, I feel like, because on contracts that I've seen over the years, I've seen that there isn't a start date or there isn't an end date while we process through that job.
Yeah.
So I feel as if, one of the values that we offer with Pro 93 Home Solutions is that we will give you a start on or before date.
Yeah.
And that just creates the first expectation on when do you start need to moving the contents out of your home? When do you start need to working on down payment stuff? Like all that is just expectations that are important, because previous contractors will just say, well, I'll get you, thanks for signing the contract. Go ahead and give me your deposit, and I'll get to you when I can get to you.
Yeah, and I can tell you this: the way we operate. Jesse talked about the honor before. We have an honor before completion date, which means when you see that date, that's our drop dead date. That's when I know for a fact we're going to be there. Yeah. Now, most of the time, I will tell you, 90% of the time, we're there before that, as long as that fits with your schedule, and it's allowable to get access. And then we also give you an estimated completion date. Now, I will tell you, projects run long. Materials, sometimes there's issues if there's a change order. The one thing, if you're doing something like an addition or kitchen, bathroom, remodeling type of work, understand, chances are we didn't build your house. We don't know what's behind walls. We don't know what's under floors. We don't know what's in your crawl space until we get into it. And there's times where you may find some issues, but again, that's a question you need to ask your contractor. How do you handle change orders? Yeah. A change order is very simple. We give you a scope of work on your contract. It's anything outside of that scope that needs to be done for that scope to be completed. I know, Jesse, you run into this in roofing a lot. Mm-hmm. Talk about, how you process that when you pull up the shingles and the decking is destroyed.
Yeah, so that all comes down on the front end of contracting on paper with the scope of work, with exclusions or with add-ons that could potentially happen. And specifically in roofing, you never know, any remodel for that matter, you never know what's going to happen under that shingle. You don't know what kind of fastening surface that we're going to have to go to, if the wood's rotted, if you've got rotted decking that's just completely saturated with water. Those are things that are set up on the front end of a contract to say that during this process, I'm going to take a picture of everything that has to be replaced. Yeah. Because most people aren't going to get up on their roof, and that's very understandable. But I'm going to be very transparent and I'm going to show them that this is the area of square footage that needs to be replaced. Because if we warranty your work, we don't want to put shingles or anything that's going to be a long-term fix on something that's unstable.
And one of the things we tell people all the time, we're not going to spend your money without your permission.
Yeah.
So we make sure. So when we find that, we literally just send you a change order that says, hey, here's what this is. Here's what the extra cost will. And here's the other thing, folks. Change orders work both ways. There are times where we assume, because we can't see it again in the estimation process, maybe we assume there's floor joist bad, and that's why there's a buckle here. We get in there and find out it's a bad sheet of subfloor. The joists are fine. We now can do a subtraction.
We can do a credit back to
it's a credit back to you as a change order. So I can promise you change orders work both ways. So make sure you're asking that question. And then another thing is talking about the deposit and payment. How do they take payment? I know, obviously we still take cash. We like checks. I can tell you with the mail right now, we'd prefer to just come get a check. I don't care where you are, because we've had checks just disappear in the mail. But also, we offer PayPal. We offer there's all kinds of different, electronic bill pay. We can do ACH, whatever works for you. We take credit cards. And just know that most places, we have to pass on a processing fee when we do take cards. So if folks can write a check, I try to encourage them to, because I don't want to charge anybody more than we have to. So, and unless it is a special order material that has to be ordered maybe weeks or months in advance, I don't know a reason why you should pay your contractor more than 50% up front.
Right. No more than 50%.
Folks, when you pay your contract, I don't care if you've got the money, it's burning a hole in the pocket, you just want to get it over with. How many horror stories have you heard that starts with, well, I paid this guy to come do this at my house and he never came back? Folks, don't do that. That's one of the reasons why we never accept payment without a signed contract. I will not, there's been people try to pay us, and until you sign your contract, that protects you. It protects me. We have it in there what the deposit is. We have it in there if there's any milestones after that. Most of our projects are 50% up front, 50% on completion. Bigger projects will have different milestones that you'll hit. So just understand that all that needs to be laid out to you, and you're looking for transparency. And if you feel like you're talking to someone who's not being transparent, they're not going to be transparent in the process. Flag.
And I think it's safe to say, too, that smaller projects would be 50% up front, 50% at the end. Big projects, there's draw schedules.
Yeah, so, and listen, we're up against the clock. So when we come back, we're going to give you a couple more things to ask your contractor. But then, so you've decided on a contractor, what are the questions you need to ask before they start working? I think it's something that people don't think about, but these are the things that can really make a job go haywire, because it's things that you don't think about. It's stuff we've learned over time. We didn't know to ask these questions even of our customers when we started, and it's one of those, you block somebody getting mail one day or 2 days, and you realize, hey, we probably should ask up front, where's your mailbox? Yeah. Where do we need to park on the street? Those kind of things. So we're going to talk about that when we come back. So hang in there. Don't turn that dial. We'll be right back. You're listening to Home Solutions right here on Mix 104.1 and 104.3 The Buzz.
Are you tired of going to YouTube or Google for answers to your home improvement questions? Maybe you have more projects than you have time. No matter where you are in the process, Pro 93 Home Solutions is ready to serve you. Pro 93 is a local, veteran-owned company offering residential and commercial remodeling, cleaning, and security. Contact us today at 458-4135 or online at pro93homesolutions.com. Let the pros at Pro 93 find the solution for your home or business. That's 458-4135.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for listening. No matter how you're listening today, thank you for listening to Home Solutions. Dennis Purvis and Jesse Matthews here with you from Pro 93 Home Solutions. But we really do appreciate everybody week in and week out. We get to hear through the week, folks hearing us on the radio, seeing us on Facebook. So we'll wave to everybody out in Facebook land. But if you're listening in the car this morning, maybe you're streaming online, maybe you're listening through the Mix 104.1 app. We really appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your suggestions. Today we're talking about picking a contractor, selecting a contractor. Questions you need to ask. Questions no contractor should run from. Okay, and if they do, what's the word for the day? Red flag.
Put a red flag on them.
Put a red flag on them. Go to the next one, because these are questions that should be very easy. So we've talked about the things to do pre. And I think if I would add anything, we've talked about asking for references, making sure they're licensed, making sure they're insured, making sure they've got a contract, how do you want to get a deposit? How do you want to get paid? But I think what is their experience? Let me see some references. Do they provide a warranty?
Yeah.
That's a huge thing. I can tell you right now, one of the things hardwired into our contract, we have a 1-year workmanship warranty on everything we do. There are times, however, that if we need to exclude that, because we talked about change orders in the first segment. There are times where customers just financially cannot afford to fix it right. Mm-hmm. And they know that I may be just pushing this problem down the road. And as long as it's not a code violation or something that's going to violate our license, there are times where we're like, okay, just know that you need to get this addressed down the line. But that's going to mean for that section of work, we're not going to be able to warranty it, right, because we know there's an issue. Just understand that as a contractor, we are kind of pinned sometimes. There are things we can't unsee. And there are things that, you can't unring some bells. And code violations are a big deal with that, or if we see a safety concern. Jesse is our resident OSHA officer, so
I need to go. Yeah,
I
need to go through more of that, but yeah.
Yeah, but he worries about our work places themselves and the
work site safety is huge.
Yeah, and just making sure. But when it comes to seeing things, with our project managers are really good about stopping, kind of throwing their hands up, say nobody touch anything. Let's take some pictures. Let's document, and we're going to discuss that with you. So warranty is a super. Most folks should be able to handle that. And I think the next thing would be ask them about how they're going to protect your home, right? Where are they going to be working in your home? And what are they going to do, especially if you're doing exterior work. I know we had a customer recently here in Cleveland. He had some very expensive, rare trees. Mm-hmm. And we were doing a lot of exterior work, and we had to go above them, and we had to get ladders in there. So we took extra steps with plastic, with some binding, to just make sure there was not a possibility that we were going to have to be replacing some very rare, expensive trees. Yep. And talking about that up front set him at ease. Mm-hmm. When the first day we showed up, before we got a ladder off the truck,
you prepped.
We had folks out prepping, putting plastic down,
yep, putting tarps,
putting tarps out,
putting OSB sheets to protect plants and shrubs. Another thing too to think about is staging. There's a lot of materials on big remodel jobs. There's a lot of materials on roofing jobs.
Where are you going to put it?
Where are you going to stage it until the project is complete? Where your car is going to be. Is it going to be in your way? Those are all the details. Those are some of the details that you start working towards.
Yeah, and so so let's say now you've selected your contract. Say you've selected us. That's a great choice here at Pro 93 Home Solutions. And if you want to call us, you can call us at 458-4135 or go to pro93homesolutions.com.
It's a great plug, Dennis.
Thank you very much. And so you've selected Pro 93 or any other contractor in town. Again, there are lots of great ones. A lot of them are good friends of ours. So you've made your decision. You're under contract. It's getting close to your start date. What are the things you guys need to have conversations about? And what Jesse just talked about with staging, one of the first things I'll talk about is a dumpster. Mm-hmm. If there's going to be a dumpster or roll-off at your property, we need to know where to put that thing. You want to try to keep it out of your yard. Just trust me, because we just dug one out of a yard in Rossville.
I think right here, right now, this year, we're probably on record for the most rain that we've had over the last several months, and you don't want dumpsters on your yard right now.
So and when Jesse was talking about where your car is going to be parked, your driveway is a great location for a dumpster because they're typically easier to get those out. Typically, those are concrete, asphalt, or packed gravel, somewhere where where you're not going to damage your yard. So that's.
But with that, let me chime in here a minute.
Go ahead.
With that comes some concessions from you as the homeowner of saying, okay, I am going to give priority to the dumpster in my driveway, which means that you have to be flexible a little bit. You have to understand that the contractor wants to get in and get out as quick but as efficient as possible. That might mean you can't park in your driveway.
Yeah.
That might mean you have to be out on the road with your car for a month, or whatever.
And that's access in general. That's another.
Be flexible.
Yeah, and understand that, and don't be afraid to talk to your contractor about where they should be parking. Mm-hmm. Our guys and gals that work for us, do their best to accommodate everybody. And if we've had to park down at the end of a street, we've parked at the end of a cul-de-sac, we've parked in an adjacent parking lot and kind of carpooled over in the back of a truck just to get everybody to and from because of space. Especially with the size of job, we don't know the size of your lot, the size of your driveway. You may have 4 or 5 cars that need to get in and out, so we need to make sure we're not impeding you.
Right.
Mailboxes. There are times where mailboxes need to come out just to get equipment in and out. So we need to. You need to talk to the post office and let them know, hey, I need to stop. I need to stop for a little bit. I need to stop my mail for a couple days, or I'll just pick it up at the post office. So understanding those things, those aren't bad questions. Those aren't bad requests. Again, another thing I tell people, and you'll hear me say it on this show a lot, we don't have to live in your house.
Right.
You do.
Yeah.
And a lot of folks are living in your home while we're there. and keep in mind, folks, we are very mindful of the fact that everybody gets excited about a remodeling job.
Until you show up.
Yeah.
And you're there for 3 days.
Ben Franklin's old saying, fish and visitors both smell after 3 days.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. So and that's another question to ask your contractor. Once work commences, are you going to leave my job? One of my pet peeves is leaving a job before we're done. If unless there is, if it's exterior, of course we're limited by weather. But I can tell you, the only time where we won't, once we start, that we won't have somebody there is if we're waiting on material and we cannot move forward, or weather issues. Now I will say there's a third because of COVID and everything that brought with it is sickness. If I've got one of our tile guys and they've started a tile shower and they come down with a sickness, you don't get. It's like anything else. You don't
want them on your house. You don't want them in your house anyway if they're sick.
And we don't want somebody else trying to finish what they started.
Correct.
If you haven't, I can tell you, our tile guys are artists.
Right. They're good.
They're fantastic, and you let them finish their picture, so to speak.
Yeah. And I think a little bit of what needs to be talked about too is what are the working hours of the contractors?
Yes.
Like, let's get the expectation on the front end of this to say,
does this fit your hours?
Yeah, and then does it work with you? And then everybody has their. I'm a guy that likes the system. I'm the guy that likes the understanding of what's going to happen in this picture. And without understanding what the contractor's hours are, how do I manage my life during this process? If I'm gone to work all day long and I let the contractor come in and work from 8 to 5 at my house, do I need to expect them to be there longer than 5? Yeah. Do I need to expect them to be longer than 3? Do I need to expect them on the weekends?
Well, we also got folks that we've worked for that are swing shift or third shift that we've worked nights.
And we work around that schedule
because
to say
we're
not going to be there till the afternoon.
A lot of, small commercial stuff, if you're working in an office, you don't want us, you trust me, you don't want us in there with power tools while you're trying to conduct business. So if we need to come in the evenings or on the weekends, we've done that too. So
and accommodate hours. That's a big question to ask them.
And again, understand this, folks. You're looking for somebody that can accommodate your life. You're not trying to accommodate theirs. So, and I think the next thing I was going to talk about is communication, and this is right there at it. Folks, understand if you're feeling some sort of kind of friction in the communication during the estimating and contract process, chances are you're going to have those same issues when work starts. Right. So make sure you're feeling comfortable. Make sure, and we try to set as many expectations as we can. You're going to have our direct lines. You're going to have our email address, info@pro93homesolutions.com, comes to both of our phones, no matter where we are. Anything that comes through the website comes straight to us. Like, you're going to get us, and communication also, I want to, what we tell folks, don't let something fester. If you come home from work and our guys and gals are gone and you see something, don't sit on it for 3 days. Call us that night. Call us that next morning. Talk to us about it. Let us get over there. Let our project managers know. Every job you'll have a project manager that will be your point of contact, but you also have Jesse and I's direct numbers as owners. We're hands-on. We will be there. And one of the problems is that, especially because you talked about earlier, Jesse, systems and processes, construction has phases that need to happen.
There are phases, yeah.
And if there's an issue right now, 3 days from now may be too late for us to go back and fix that.
Right.
And what I don't want is you getting upset and kind of harboring some resentment because we didn't know that there was a problem. I can promise you, if we know there's an issue, we'll get it fixed. We're going to do our best to make you happy because, again, we don't have to live there. You do.
Well, let's talk about that process for just a second. That process could look like you need drywall installed, but the electrician can't get there for 3 days, for 2 days. So we can't go in and put drywall up knowing that the electrician is going to come right in behind the drywall. That process just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Logistically.
And if there's permits involved, there's an inspection.
And then there's inspections, yeah.
So those things can't, there's times where you just can't do different things. In that same vein, I know it's something, we run into it a lot just because we're a bunch of animal lovers. It seems like to a man and a woman that work with us, we all love animals. Pets are a big deal. I know we were just at a, Miss Spears that we've done a lot of work for in her home, and she is fantastic. But she's got a cat that she has rescued. That she called me and said, I don't know what to do because this cat's pretty feral. And I'm like, what do you mean feral? And she's like I need to lock it up. And she was really worried about that. That's a genuine concern. Just as much as your kids are, just as much as your family members that live with you. Pets are family members too. We understand that. We need to have expectations. One of the things we ask when we go on estimates, is there any dogs we need to worry about, anything outside? Can we go through a gate? We try to be as diligent as possible of locking gates behind us, making sure fences are secure, because we understand we've got pets. Mm-hmm. We understand, I used to get so mad years ago. A neighbor mowed my grass, and he would always leave the back fence, the back gate. Like I could tell he had been there. I didn't even have to look.
Come running out.
Yes, that's exactly right. Max comes running out, and I'm like, he's all over the neighborhood. Now I'm chasing a dog, which I don't like to chase anything. I don't like to run unless I'm being chased, actually. But pets are another big thing, and we need to know that. So, folks, all in all comes down to communication. It comes down to, are you working with somebody you feel comfortable talking to, that you feel like you can give concerns to? And sometimes I feel like we've had customers that didn't want to ruffle feathers or felt bad about telling us something. Folks, you're spending a lot of money. We want you happy in the end. The last thing any contractor wants is to be finished with a project that we're proud of that you're not. I mean, I don't know that it's any simpler than that.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah. So what we can promise you at Pro 93 is that we try to set expectations on the front end, that we're going to do the best work. We know we strive for perfection, knowing we're not going to get there. Punch list is not a bad word. That's the last thing I'd say on this whole thing is punch list isn't a bad word. We want to make sure we've got you right before we're done, before we say we're completed, before we collect that final payment. So, folks, I hope this was informative for you today. I hope you learned something. Jesse, thank you so much for being in here, man.
Yeah, getting used to it.
You are getting used to it. And, folks, listen, make sure you go home, love on your family, love on your neighbor, and remember, we're all in this together. Hey, we'll see you guys next week. You've been listening to Home Solutions right here on Mix 104.1 and 101.3 The Buzz.